I think we're starting. Does it start? It says I'm live. Always a good sign. I am alive. All right. Hey, everybody, it's Mike Meyers. Yeah, da, da, da. And it is 2:02 p.m. It is the Monday edition of the Mike Meyers Ask Anything live stream. The goal of this live stream is to provide those of us who are isolated by the coronavirus opportunities to continue our studies on CompTIA certifications. Now, keep in mind, this isn't just for regular old CompTIA A+, Net+, and Security+, which is where we tend to do most of our concentration, but we can go into other CompTIA certifications as well. And on top of that, we can even do a little bit, just making sure I got good sound here. Great. We can also go into other certifications as well outside of CompTIA. So the goal here is you ask me questions and I answer them. So we start here at 2 o'clock Central Daylight Time, and we go until 3 o'clock Central Daylight Time. This is a 1 hour thing, or until the questions run out. So sometimes we end a little early, sometimes we end a little late. It doesn't really matter. It goes either way. Don Kalin Seraphim Periade. That's a name. Just got my certificate A+. Congratulations to you. How am I doing? Am I doing well? Yeah, I'm doing fine. I had surgery on my knee. I had a torn meniscus, and now my meniscus is no longer torn. I literally feel better now than when I walked for the surgery, but it did get a little swole up and a couple of bits of fun like that. So other than that, we are just fine. And tomorrow I'm going to get a big shot in my neck, try to fix my left arm. And yeah, then we'll see where we go from there. I know, lose weight. I know. Yeah, Dave, thank you so much for covering for me last Wednesday. I was just still hurting, and I really do appreciate you being able to jump in on an as-needed basis. All right, so before the big crowd starts, it always takes a while for everybody to start showing up, which is fine. A couple little rules of the house. Number one, this is an Ask Mike Anything. So you ask me questions and I answer them. The main way you ask questions is by typing them into the chat window here on YouTube. Now you'll notice in the chat window it says top chat. Hit the pull down on that and send that to live chat to get the algorithm out of the way. So that's one thing you can do. Then secondarily, make sure your timestamps are on. A lot of times when I see a person's question, I'm going to ask from the timestamp. Brittany is retaking Core 1. Brittany, I haven't heard from you in a while. I guess you're going to retake a test. You can do this, Brittany. You got this. Don't panic. Yeah, all I have is one big ache and pain. So I'm going to be heading to Texas Pain Consultants. They're going to give me drugs, man. Yeah, give me drugs. I will take drugs happily. So we got some interesting thing happening with CyberDown Labs. I'm going to be working with Richard Chapman over at CyberDown Labs, and he's going to be doing like demos of incidents, the type of incidents you would see in a SOC or a CSOC, and using the groovy tools of the day. He's going to be walking through. He's going to be walking through scenarios, and we're going to be talking about them. So anybody who's been interested in doing some of this more entry-level cybersecurity work, you might want to sit in on a few of these. I'll post them both here and on LinkedIn, and do check them out. I think you might find them very, very interesting. We shot a couple last week. We're going to shoot a couple more this week. Basically, all I do is ask entertaining interview questions. And Richard Chapman. So we're doing the two bald guys. I don't know if we're going to stick with that, but it is trippingly on the tongue, as Shakespeare would say. So we'll see whether I change the name or not. What else we got going? Yeah, we're going to be doing a lot more products finally after 3 months of talking about it. Really moving the AMA into another level. I got to get myself a little bit fixed before I start heading back into a studio. But just so you guys know, all the A+ videos have been shot. I'd like to say I did it, but that would be untrue. I did it. I'm barely in anything. So We're going to see what happens with Steve Nicholson and all the other folks. But we are moving into post production, and the new A Plus videos should be out and with customers in the next few weeks. So that's pretty exciting to say the least. All right, whenever you guys see me moving to one side or the other, it's because I'm looking for questions. Boot wreck. All right, so I see one question. Bear with me just a minute here, guys. It must be me. I'm having a little difficulty understanding when to use the boot rec and boot commands in the command line for 1002. See, that's an interesting one to do because we have not done a big boot rec in a while. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do before you do anything else is look and see if we haven't already done a boot rec. Because I think we did. Right here in the Total Seminars channel. Just do a search for boot rec right here in the Total Seminars channel here on YouTube and see if there isn't one there. If there isn't, well, I'll just go ahead and we'll shoot another one. It's time to do another boot rec anyway. There's been enough changes in it over the years. Probably due for another change. But I'm going to hang on to that one for a little bit. Where did you go? It must be me. I'm having a little difficulty understanding when to use the boot rec and boot commands. Let's hang on to that. It must be me. If you cannot get an answer to your satisfaction to something that's already been done, I'll shoot a special episode just for you. But that requires you to do a little searching first. Dave will try first, see what happens. Tolowit, don't get hooked on Viking, and I won't. Oh, come on, Dave Rush. What is the boot command? He just means the boot rec type of commands. Johnny 5, hey Mike, do we need to know the exact speed of 802.11 AC or just that it's super fast? Just that it's super fast. What I would be more interested in you understanding with stuff like 802.11 AC is how multi-user MIMO is actually used. When you talk about 2x2 antennas, what does that really mean? You know, to send, to receive antennas, or as they'll say, channels. To me, that's the stuff that's more important. The other thing you always want to make sure you know, regardless, I'm looking for things. The other thing you need to know on, there it is, something to clean my glasses with. On any of the wirelesses is make sure you know what band they use and make sure you know what bands they don't use. You say, well, Mike, if it uses the 5 gigahertz band, then it doesn't use the 2.4. Well, that's not necessarily true. 802.11n is a great example of that. But just make sure you're comfortable with those. And also make sure you're up through 802.11ax, so it's a Wi-Fi 6 kind of world now. Got lots of people going in. Brittany's going right back in for her test. Good on you, Brittany. That's the way to do it. Yeah, it must be me. If you don't see what you need to your satisfaction, you give me a holler. We can discuss it. Oh, they found it. 3/3/2022. So it was this year. We did a fixed boot process and BCD repair. And it must be me. Dave's got a link for you there. So that should be what you need. I hope. We'll see. Nifty going cheese, Brittany. I hope there is time. You can make it happen. What you don't want to do is start obsessing on, do I have enough time yet? That will be a mistake. You're okay. All right, so what do we got going here today? So I got a pretty slow day today, although it looks like the Wednesday will pick up, and from there we're going to see what's going to be happening. Got a lot more guest people coming in, so I'm excited about that. And that's all on Dave Rush, doing a hell of a job on that, Dave. Congratulations to you. I really do appreciate the hard work you do on that kind of stuff. So let's see who's all here. We got Catherine with the C, Catherine with the K, always good. Why is nobody texting? Oh, people are texting. How is the knee? The knee is great. M prop fighter. M propane fighter. M propane fighter. My propane fighter. Any tips for A plus? Oh goodness. What aspect of A plus would you like me to give you tips on? On taking the exam? The big rule I already tell everybody is do not look at more questions the day of the exam. The day of the exam, just relax your head. Take it easy. Remember on the A plus exams is that the first 5 or 6 multiple choice questions are invariably going to be test questions that aren't really graded. The main reason you'll know that they are ungraded questions because they will bring up topics that you've never heard of. And they're going to put it right at the beginning of the test while you're the most easily freaked out. And you're going to be staring at this test, looking at questions that you've never seen before, saying that Mike Meyers training is terrible, blah, 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 blah. They're just practice questions, folks. Go ahead and grade them as best you can, but don't panic about them, all right? So those are going to be your first few multiple choice questions, invariably. Franco Beltran is using his library. I think libraries are kind of like a lost thing here in the United States. You just don't see them anymore. I mean, they exist. But the problem with libraries are full of those, what do you call those things? Yeah, books. Xerxix about a week away from taking his CYSA+. Good on you. He's got lots of information in there. Guys, do keep in mind the CyberNow Labs, which I bought a piece of this company, folks. CyberNow Labs is doing amazing unboot camps for just about $6,800. You can pretty much be all but. They can't guarantee because sometimes people just don't put any effort in. But offering jobs that are starting in the $90,000 to $100,000 a year range, folks. This is absolutely true. This is the real McCoy, and do check out CyberNow Labs if you get a chance. Good drugs. What does W-2 mean for contract jobs? Well, I mean a W-2, what is a W-2? It's an IRS form here in the United States. What is a W-2? I always forget. I don't really remember what a W-2 is. You guys got to remember, I've always worked for myself, so... One is the form you fill out before you get the job. It's W-2, then there's a W-4. I forget which one's which. And it basically says how much is going to be withheld. And I know that probably has nothing to do with the question you were asking me. Oh, there's Dave Rush with the answer ready to go. W-2 means full-time employed as opposed to contract work. Fair enough. Tollwood, if you're going to build a multi-floor network, would you go with linked wireless routers or linked switches as WAPs? There should never be more than 2 devices. I believed in linked switches with WAPs big time. I've never seen a wireless network, even 802.11ax, that can stand toe-to-toe with a good wired network. And wireless is handy for people who are itinerant and coming in and out. But if I've got especially buckled down desktop systems, they're going to get a cable coming out the back. Personal choice. Ann McGee, Mike, can you explain the difference between IDS and Firewall? Sure. So a firewall is just a piece of software that usually sits on some kind of quasi-dedicated box whose only job is to prevent evils from going out to the internet or evils from the internet coming in to bother you. Okay? That's what a firewall is. So a firewall usually manifests itself as like on a router or something like that. The reason they put firewalls on routers is because that's the perfect gateway between your local area network and the upstream network, which is going to be part of the internet. So if you've got this one pipe coming in, why not use that as a place to inspect packets? So that's what a firewall is. So a firewall is going to inspect packets. Either it's going to be stateful or stateless. When I say a firewall is stateless, it's for example, I can make a rule in my firewall. All firewalls have rules. So I can make a rule in my firewall that says I'm going to block everything from 202.14.66.3. That is a stateless firewall access control list. In this case, there's only one line in the access control list. The reason we call it that is we call it stateless because it doesn't matter what's happening on that router. It's always going to block that IP address. We can block, filter, and forward by time, by port number, by so many different things. A stateful firewall is going to be looking at the state of what is the firewall doing right now. For example, a stateful firewall might block incoming ICMP messages, but it will only block more than 2. Get the idea? So if you want to do a ping or something like that, then it would still work. So it's not so much a rule written into a spreadsheet, which is what an access control list is, but more of a, what can we do with it? So stateful versus stateless. That's a firewall. We find firewalls in our networks. We find firewalls on individual host systems. Those are firewalls. Firewalls have been around now for 30 years or so. IDS stands for Intrusion Detection System. IDS takes the idea of you've got a box, okay, and this box is already seeing all the traffic coming in and out. So it can look at the incoming packets and then decide what it wants to do with them. In other words, detect intrusions. So a lot of intrusions are pretty obvious. For example, if I have incoming port 22, so somebody's trying to get into my network through SSH, that would be an example of something naughty. So I could have a firewall that says block all incoming port 22s, which most host-based firewalls already have built in, for the record. But more important than that is that with an IDS, I can actually detect it and do something. I can make something go beep, or have Mike get an email, or something that happens that gives us some kind of clue of what's taking on. So how is a firewall like an IDS? I guess I don't know is the right answer. I would not be the type who'd want to combine firewall and IDS in the same paragraph, but having done that, I will say that a firewall filters and forwards traffic based on rules or access control lists, whereas an IDS, not only it doesn't really filter and forward per se, it detects intrusions. So instead of having a firewall that simply blocks this, I will see this, I won't block it, but I'll set off an alarm or set off your beeper or whatever it is. Intrusion detection is pretty much gone. It's been replaced by intrusion prevention services, IPS. If you can already detect it, usually it's not that hard of a deal. Just go ahead and I'm going to block port 22. 22 is open. Now we see somebody incoming. I'm going to block it for X amount of time or whatever it might be, or might require a human to reset it. So that would be the only thing where I could see where IDS and firewall are mentioned in the same breath. And there's nothing wrong with that. Daniel Thibodeau. What if the job, this is 215, what if the job through CyberNow Labs is not a good fit for me? Well then, Daniel, don't do it, for crying out loud. It's too expensive. It's $6,800. Now you only have to pay half of that if you get your Security Plus and do some good attendance and things like that. You only have to pay the other half once you get a job. So it's not that much money. But what is important is that you need to be able to work at this. You need to find if you've got some passion and some joy for it. And, wow. Dave Rush, we should do a CyberNow Labs passion tester assessment or something like that. That could be fun. But anyway, if it's not for you, then continue through the original things. There's nothing wrong with the traditional, getting A+, Net Plus, Security Plus, getting those entry-level jobs, and finding work that way. There's enough demand out there so that you can do it. The only thing CyberNow Labs provides is a very accelerated process for super motivated, super passionate, dedicated people. That's all it does. Otherwise, you can get there through the old-fashioned way. It's just going to take you a lot longer. It must be me. What's your best suggestion of how to find what's really important in the test questions in the 1002 exam? The first thing I would tell you is stop thinking like this. You're adding a layer of confusion to yourself that just seems painful to me. If I'm going to sit down on a multiple choice question, I'm not going to be sitting here going, which one of these is the most important to it? There's one right question. The one thing I will give CompTIA, they give you one right question. So don't read layers into this. It must be me. Just enjoy, really enjoy. That's what I do. I like the test, and get that sucker knocked out. And I wouldn't want to do what you're doing. Using my practice questions is a very strong tool to give you an idea of what's important on the exams, I guess. Bearded IT Dad, good to see you, man. How's it going, brother? Trucker Lee, hey Mike, how do I subscribe to do those practice exams on your test seminar? How do I subscribe to those practice exams in your test seminar? So Trucker Lee, you got to pay for them. I mean, that's how I pay my mortgage, okay? Is by selling practice tests. And it's an online product, and it should work that way just fine. There you go. Dave Rush has been answering your question for you. Wen87. Hey, Wen87. Good to see you, man. So a couple of things why we're here, folks. First of all, just because you're nice enough to show up today, we have a special deal for you. And that is, whenever I tell people that to pass an exam, they need three things. Number one, they need instruction, which can either be instructor-led or it can be videos. Number two, it's going to need reference, which is going to be a book. And number three, it needs some way to test yourself, which is practice questions. So you always need three things to do well on any exam. And what we're doing this week is that we have a deal where we're going to give you a ebook, not the paper book, an ebook plus the total seminars practice questions for whatever you want, A+, Net+, Security+, we got them all. And we bundle those together and we sell them for 50% off, which is already ridiculously low. We're already the cheapest there are, and now we knock it for another 50% off. You should be taking advantage of this. In order to take advantage of it, all you have to do is head over to our website. That's www.totalsem.com. Head over to our merchant area. Let's say you're interested in Network Plus. Grab the Network Plus ebook. Put that in your cart. Grab the Network Plus practice questions, what we call the Total Tester. Put that into your cart. And just before you check out, use the phrase OZ. Oz. Put that in there and you get 50% off. It's an amazing deal, folks. Take advantage of it. 187. On the IPS IDS subnet, does this software slow down your internet performance? Sure, it does. IPSs definitely slow things down. I mean, that's the main reason people pay, a lot of money for higher end routers and stuff, endpoints, is not because they have extra features. It's not the extra features. It's their ability to process this stuff. Elaine Batzer. Hey, how's it going, Elaine? Kevin Kokomore. Good South African name there, I'm guessing. Oh, I knew it had something to do with the Wonderful World of Oz. Dave, that's just how you do things. Dave Rush. God, 2:30 already. How'd it go so fast? So I'll tell you what, guys, just for funsies, let's have a quick competition. I'm actually looking up a question. Ugh, I don't like these. Hang on, I get one. Bear with me, guys. Okay. Guys, let's go ahead. We're going to do a practice question right now. The winner of this practice question is going to receive 90 days free access to the total tester of their choice. Okay, so in order to win this competition, all you have to do is the first person who types in the right answer to my satisfaction into the chat window is going to win 90-day free access. All right, so you guys ready? Let's do this. Fingers on keyboard, please. This is a two-part. I need two answers from you. You ready? This has to do with DNS. If you set up a DNS server, you guys ready? If you set up a DNS server, the regular host account is called a what record? It's called a what record? And that's an IPv4. That same host account is called a blank record in IPv6. So I need two answers from you here. One that says what is a host in an IPv4 DNS, a regular host, and then what is a regular host in an IPv6 DNS. This is what you would type into the DNS server. Let's see if we got any winners yet. So I need two. Come on, guys. No one has the right answer yet. Ah, there's one answer. All right, you know what? I didn't think this was going to be so hard. This is a good Security Plus questions. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put a winner in here because not a whole lot of people answered. And the winner is going to be, you ready? Chris Kent. Chris, congratulations to you, Chris. You are the winner of 90-day free access. Now, Chris, in order to get your prize, you've got to jump through a couple of hoops. Number one, Chris, you have to send an email to Dave Rush. That's daver@total7.com. In that email, Chris, be sure to send your YouTube name, which is Chris Kent, right? Did I get that right? Yeah, where'd it go? Where'd you go? Chris Kent. There it is, Chris Kent. Be sure to add your email address into the body of the email. I know it's an email, so you've already got to return. I don't care. Put your email address in the body of the email. And number three, tell us what exam you want, because you can get anything you want. If it's in our catalog, you are welcome to it. So congratulations to you, Chris. Well done. It's an A record is your standard host record for DNS, and then your quadruple A record is your IPv6. All right, how are we looking today? It's all right. We don't have to have big, busy days. Okay, now, folks, if you're going to ask me a question, you need to ask now because we're going to boogie out a little bit earlier. Scanning through. Tolowit, you're hilarious as usual. Trucker Lee, gotcha. So I got a question about your book in chapter 1. You started reading the book all the way through. I wonder, why did you set it up this way? Because this is how I learn. Everybody's different. And most people I know who are readers like to read all the way through. Or if they don't read all the way through, they read on a chapter-by-chapter basis and then take a little break. So, you know, that's how I do it. I've helped zillions of people get through CompTIA exams, and it works. Now all of a sudden people start typing it in there. Kevin, you gotta know your IPv6, both for Net Plus and Security Plus, and to a lesser degree A Plus. All right, so we got a quieter day today. No big deal. Let's go ahead and wrap it up early, folks. We'll be back on Wednesday. Be sure to be sticking around. We're gonna have lots more fun stuff coming up. Lots more things to be given away. Other than that, don't forget that Friday is Dave Rush AMA drama, and so Dave will be on. Also, don't forget we have our Discord channel. Dave has put a link already into the chat. It is a great place to at least sign up so we get to know you, especially if you have more long drawn-out questions. It's a great place to ask them, and there's better techs in there than me. So there's lots of good people who can really help you out there. Please join that Discord channel. It's It's absolutely. Oh, wait, one more question here. Can you explain the different classes of IP addresses? Well, the ones that are important are going to be when the internet was first invented, they wanted to split up the big classes from smaller classes. The idea was that when you wanted to join the internet, you'd say, "Oh, I only have 100 people, therefore I'll take a small class network ID." Whereas I've got 10 million people, maybe I need something bigger, and that's where the fathers of the internet came out with IP classes. So there's 5 IP classes, but only 3 of any great interest to us. And these are I cannot do this off the top of my head. I'm rusty, kids. Class A was anything that started with a 1 and went to, I've forgotten. I have forgotten my classes. One moment, please. All right, so the class ranges start. Network ID is going to be class bits 2 to so 126 on. That's not possibly right. Is that right? It's a difficult thing for me to read here. I guess I was right. Okay, so anyway, the 3 classes that I want you to know about are Class A, Class B, and Class C. Class A is always, it's going to start with a 1 and it goes to 126 on the first octet. Okay, those are always going to be a WAC 8 address, and so you get lots of addresses in there. Class B is going to go from 128 to 191 on the first octet, and it gets like lots of addresses as well. Class C is going to start. It's going to be 192 to 223, and that's in the first octet. And those are going to be WAC 24s. The reality is nobody really uses classful IP addressing anymore. Whoever had classful IP addressing has already been subnetting them for so much that there's nothing left but little bits and pieces. Even companies that 40 years ago got Class A addresses have been compelled to bring them back in. So hopefully that answers the question. It was just a way to organize the internet when they wanted to give out small groups of addresses versus large group of addresses. It was a terrible idea. It never really worked that well because Class A was 16.7 million. Well, what if I only need, a smaller number? Well, then you get a Class B, which is going to be 65,536, or you can do a Class C, which is going to be 254 addresses. Well, what if I only need 8? Well, tough. You got a whole Class C out of the deal. So I think the only thing that Class A, B, and C is important for is to be putting them on exams. Wildor Francoise. Wildor Francoise. Hi, Mike. Hi, Wildor. There you go. Look at all this great information people put in there for you for doing all kinds of fun stuff in there. All right. Hello, Mike. Can we get a clean Kali distro? Yeah. Go over to Kali and download it. Are they doing something weird that's making that hard to do? Dave, is there a problem with Kali Linux that they're dirty all of a sudden? Kali has their own link. You can download from there. I have every confidence that would be a clean link. Are you getting dirty links? It can always be a problem. Now remember, I did not do private addresses when we talked about classful. All I said is what was Class A, B, or C. Okay. So I would go to, actually the place I went to was Kali.org, Kali.org, and there's an easy download of Kali right there. So shouldn't be a problem. All right, guys. I think there we end of it. Oh, all right. We had a good day today, folks. I will be seeing you guys back on Wednesday. Don't forget, Dave will be on this Friday, and we're gonna have some more stuff coming up too. We're gonna be doing more and more presentations on SOC situations. So it's a lot of fun working with Richard Chapman of CyberNow Labs. Great guy, and I'm looking forward to doing more and more with him. These are going to be done on Thursdays. They're not going to be live though, so you're going to have to wait till we produce them and bring them out. All right, guys. Well, anyway, I'm out the door here. Y'all have a good one now. I will see you guys on Wednesday. And until then, have a great day. It's your Uncle Mikey saying good night. Good night. And we're off. Bye-bye.